And welcome back to the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a long time since we've done one of these, but we've made quite a few changes. Hopefully, you'll be impressed or not, who knows. But we appreciate you for joining us nonetheless. But let's get back underway. Going to look at the Twins and Guardians game today as we try to get back into the swing of things. They play a doubleheader today, and looks like they're already underway. Correa just took a walk. And now there's two men on anyway for the Twins as they go up against Zach Plesac today in the top of the first inning. Swing and a miss there by Garlic, the Twins' fourth place hitter today. They've made quite a few changes. Both teams have, mainly the Twins, with just the overall look of their team. Carlos Correa anchoring that lineup now is a lot different than having a guy like Josh Donaldson in the middle of that lineup. Just a lot more youth and a lot more talent essentially on this team. Fouled off there, 1-2 the count now. But we saw this offseason the Twins trade away Matt Garver in a move that looked like it was at the time going to be for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and allow some of their younger catchers to take some time behind the plate. However, they turned around and flipped him and Donaldson to kind of clear off some money in order to make the Correa move happen. And they brought back in Gary Sanchez. The move has worked out for both teams. The Yankees are probably baseball's best team so far this year. I don't believe they'll be there at the end of the year. There was some chatter that they may be one of the best teams in Major League Baseball history. I'm not buying it after they just got no hit by the Houston Astros. Now, of course, everybody can have a bad day, but we're not talking a modern day great team like the '98 Yankees or any of the other great teams of the past. Swing and a miss as Garlic goes down on strikes. Plesac records a strikeout. 2 on, 2 out now. But if you'll remember correctly, the Rangers, of course, were the ones that acquired Matt Garver and then ended up flipping Jose Trevino after having a logjam at catcher with the addition of Garver to the Yankees. So nice little triangle of trades there between the Twins, Rangers, and Yankees. But again, thank you guys for joining us. Kepler on first, Correa on second. And Kirilloff grounds out to first base to end the threat. A little bit of a rough patch there for Plesac, but is able to work out of it. No runs, no hits, no errors, and we go to the bottom of the first. Now, here at the Upside, we like to look at the next step in the sports storyline. There's quite a few different stories out there right now. MLB, of course, is the only sport right now going of the major four sports. Basketball season has ended. Ball is, of course, in the middle of their off season. Hockey, they just crowned a champion in the Colorado Avalanche. However, both of those sports, hockey and basketball, are going to have a lot of moves coming up over the next few days. NBA free agency starts on the 1st, hockey free agency as well. The one thing I do like about hockey free agency, most of those transactions, the bigger transactions, happen on the first day of free agency. There's, of course, a few of them that'll happen a few days thereafter, but it's not going to be an extended, drawn out period of time. The NBA system that they operate under has a moratorium period, meaning they can talk to different players, and of course, they're not talking to them now. Absolutely not. But of course, there's a lot of legal tampering and that kind of thing that goes on all the time. But during that moratorium period, nobody can actually sign a contract. And so things can kind of get a little convoluted at times. We saw in years past players change their mind. Think most notably of DeAndre Jordan deciding not to go to the Dallas Mavericks after agreeing to a contract, literally being barricaded in his home by Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and deciding to stay with the Clippers. We saw how well that worked out with the Clippers. That quickly ended, and DeAndre Jordan ended up finishing out that contract with the Dallas Mavericks anyway. But NBA free agency is a very different beast than most other sports anyway, due to that moratorium period. So we'll see what kind of moves we have in store for us this year. Let us know in the comment section where you're watching us from. We do appreciate every single one of you who've joined us. Guardians take to the field. Smeltzer's on the hill for the Twins. 3.05 ERA, 4-1 on the season, a 1.06 WHIP. A very impressive WHIP there. For those of you who are not too familiar with the vernacular of baseball, WHIP is walks, hits per innings pitched. Tells you how effective somebody is at avoiding contact or avoiding errors, essentially. To me, a walk is an error on the pitcher. You need to throw strikes. Stephen Kwan to lead off for the Guardians, hitting 287, strike one to him. Smeltzer misses on the slider there, low and away, almost in the other batter's box. Again, this is going to be a doubleheader for the Twins and Guardians today. Guardians are no longer the Indians, of course, after having a number of different movies, being a pop culture team for a number of years. Things just weren't working anymore with that nickname as far as the implications of it, and so they did the right thing and decided to move on. Your lineup for the Twins: Gordon's in the outfield today. In left, pardon me. There we go. Two and 0 now to Rosario. Ahmed Rosario, of course, the key piece of the Francisco Lindor trade. Strike poured in there as Rosario is taking all the way. Bear with me for just a moment while I get things set for y'all. There we go. Rosario reaches on a single to left. Smeltzer tries to pick him off, and of course, not close. Rosario, very fast shortstop by trade anyway. Certainly has found a little bit better consistency this year than in years past. Kind of felt the weight of that Lindor trade and the pressure it was to perform at Lindor's level. Jose Ramirez, by far the Guardians' best pitcher, or excuse me, best player, pardon me, hitting 300 on the year, 1,000 OPS, 63 RBIs, leads all of Major League Baseball in that category. Smeltzer bends in a curveball there, low and in. Looked to confuse Ramirez a little bit on that one. Ramirez goes around on that one on a pitch low and in off the plate. 1-2 now the count. A number of teams this offseason were interested in acquiring a player like Jose Ramirez, most notably the Toronto Blue Jays. Of course, that did not materialize, and he ended up signing an extension with the Guardians. Ramirez absolutely hammered that ball right into the right down the third base line anyway, crashed into the wall, foul ball. But that ball was smoked. Thanks for joining us, Bingo. Dodger fan in Florida. That's got to be an interesting one. You have action on the Cleveland side, huh? Well, hopefully it works out for y'all. Whoever y'all have action on, hopefully it works out for your side. Baseball finally embracing the gambling side, at least of the fan experience. Certainly not of their players, but at least in advertising and of the fan side of the experience, they're definitely more open to that side of the equation. You're not going to see a Black Sox scandal anytime soon, I don't believe. But baseball certainly appears to be more willing to incorporate that style of fan into their audience. Ramirez again fouls one off, and it's still 3-2. But again, thank you guys for joining us. Still 0-0. Runner on first for the Guardians. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat to Ramirez, making Smeltzer work. Toss over to first again, and Rosario wasn't even leading off too far at all. Barely takes a step back to first. Appreciate you guys for joining us today. Popped in the air, right over the pitcher's mound. Correa in and makes the catch. And there are 2 away. Ramirez always a tough out, and there proved to be a very difficult out for Smeltzer. Definitely the best thing the Guardians have going for them. But again, thank you guys for joining us. Let us know where you're watching us from. Got 11 of y'all right now. Let's see if we can keep that growing. Let us know where you're watching from. Let your friends know. If you're watching during your lunch break, if you're a Twins or Guardians fan, let us know. Franmil Reyes, who came over from the Padres in that Clevenger deal a couple years back, digs into the box, has changed his approach as a player overall, but those results seem to be mitigating themselves a little bit now. He's down to a 209 average after having a little bit more success earlier this season. 1-0 the count to him. What the heck are the Twins doing? That ball dropped in after being a routine pop-up behind first base, and they let it fall in. Nobody really went after the ball, and Rosario scores. Reyes ends up at second, and Smeltzer's just shaking his head in disbelief, going, come on. That was an easy out to end the inning. Good for you, though, Bingo, if you got money on Cleveland. They just left it for Kepler to try to come in and in and in and in and in. Kirilloff didn't really go out for it, nor did the second baseman. And it's 1-0 Guardians. Scoring from first on a pop-up behind first base is Rosario. That's disappointing. And guarantee there's going to be a conversation in the dugout after the inning on that one. Oscar Gonzalez, the right fielder, digging in now. Takes an aggressive stance in the box. Ball one way inside at the knees to Gonzalez. That'll be scored as a hit for Reyes, but in my opinion, that's just an error on the Twins team as a whole. That was just not played well. Granted, the location was pretty good, but nobody really was hustling after it, and it just fell right in there. The only player who was hustling was the right fielder, and he didn't have a chance to get there in time. 2-0 now the count. Curveball bends over at the knees for a strike. Gonzalez can't believe it. Off the plate inside, Gonzalez pounds it into the dirt foul. 2-2 now the count. Twins looking to get out of the inning. way upstairs, not even a competitive pitch. 3-2 now the count. Smeltzer losing location on that one. Starting to feel the heat a little bit as he's starting to labor now on the mound. Twins would like a little bit of length out of him today. Again, there is a doubleheader. Gonzalez hits it down the right field line, foul into the seats about 7-8 rows back. And Smeltzer gets the strikeout to end the inning. Sanchez, Gordon, Miranda due up for the Twins in the top half of the second. Plesac will come out for a second inning of work. We'll see if he gets his location and command under control this half inning. But again, thank you guys for joining us. As we mentioned, NBA free agency, NHL free agency is just about to get underway. Pardon me. Anyway, but with a number of different free agents expected to hit free agency, it's kind of surprising to see players not going to the free agent market making more headlines than the players who are. Most notably, Kyrie Irving, who decided to opt into his contract with the Brooklyn Nets. There was rumors last night anyway, all the way up until the decision that he made that he was going to opt in for his final season with Brooklyn. Now, of course, he could extend or re-sign there next offseason, but it was a little bit surprising, at least to the Nets. They were not expecting him to opt into that contract after making demands to get a max extension. He was never going to get that after playing less than 40 games this year and missing a ton of time in his career. I think he's missed over 30% of the games since the start of his career, and that's just not very reliable. Kevin Durant was rumored to be gone if Kyrie left. Honestly, can't really blame him. There wasn't really going to be much left there for him. Looks like we got another one who bet some money on the game anyway. One on the Cleveland side, one on the Twins. With doubleheaders, they almost always are a split. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have Garrett Cole pitching for the Yankees and the world's best offensive lineup going in game one, and then you pull out, I don't know, Justin Verlander for game two. It always seems to be a split. There's never, almost never anyway, does it seem like they take both games of a doubleheader. So we'll see who takes it today. Sanchez having found new life with the Twins, getting out of the Bronx in the spotlight, finally finding a place for him to be himself. Plays more DH than anything else with the Twins. 0-2 now the count quickly to Sanchez as Plesac tries to get ahead. Yeah, my first ever favorite team was the Twins. Grew up in South Dakota for a few years when I was very small. So I'm right there with you. Childhood telling me, pull for the Twins, but nowadays I'm more of a Rangers fan, so I don't have too much of a dog in this fight. Correa was certainly not one of my favorite players for a number of years. Just didn't appreciate the way he played the game. But now with the Twins, I got to rethink, do I really dislike this player, or is it just the fact that he was on the Astros? Of course, the GM for the Twins anyway came from the Rangers organization, so more ties between the two of my favorite teams in his, from my lifetime anyway. Guardians, of course, have a little bit of history with the Rangers as well. They got Clase in that deal for I can see his face. Pitches for the Tampa Bay Rays right now, went to the Yankees. Kluber, that's his name, Corey Kluber. But after serving an 80-game suspension, Clase definitely looks like the pitcher we thought he was with the Rangers. He's been absolutely dominant for the Guardians. Nick Gordon digging in, 252 on the year. Not too much pop to speak of, more of a speedster. Yeah, there's a lot of that up there. 3-0 now the count to Gordon. Plesac finding difficulty with the strike zone again. 4-pitch walk to Gordon, and he is not happy about it. Almost like he kind of flicked his fingers like he thought he was feeling something on his hand. I don't know if he's just struggling with location or if he's starting to form a blister. But his location has not been good so far today. 8th place hitter digs in, Jose Miranda, the third baseman. 229 average, 4 homers, 16 RBIs. However, over the last 26 games, absolutely pummeling the ball at a 321 average. Absolutely pummeling a ball from a player that you may or may not have heard of in the past if you're unfamiliar with the Minnesota Twins. It's the third walk of the game so far for Plesac. Let's see if the Twins can take advantage this inning after being unable to get a runner home in the first. Gordon dug out a nice little spot for himself in that as he was chased back to first and takes time to put the dirt back in the hole he made. The pitch, low. Looked like if it was robo-umps, that may have been called a strike, but that was right at or maybe just a hair below the knees. Plesac up to 29 pitches now already. Miranda takes, looks like a changeup there, or a sinker right down the middle, 85 miles an hour. Looks like maybe his off-speed stuff is working a little bit better today with location, but he hasn't been able to locate that fastball very well. Miranda dug in, swings, grounds it to Rosario, flips to second, on to first, double play, and the inning is over. Miranda helping out the pitcher there as he was struggling still with his command. Twins still scoreless. No runs, no hits, no errors for them. And the Guardians, 1 run, 2 hits, no errors for them. So as I was saying, this offseason for basketball is just getting underway. Warriors won the title anyway. And they're looking to try to retain as many of their free agents as they can. They got a lot of youth after struggling the previous few seasons. They were able to rebuild their pipeline of young talent, getting Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman in the draft. None of those players played significant minutes for them in the postseason. Jordan Poole was one of the few players that did get significant run in the postseason, and he has definitely performed well. So the Warriors are definitely going to need to try to hold on to those youngsters while still figuring out how to pay their older players along the way. They're going to be a tax team, and so they may have to lose some of the pieces around the periphery, like a Gary Payton, that type of player, maybe a Kevon Looney, both of which are said to be priorities for them. I'll believe it when I see it. Their tax bill is already going to be quite hefty with just the top 5 salaries on their roster. But free agency begins, I believe, on Thursday, so it'll be interesting to see where your favorite player ends up. Zach LaVine, probably the top free agent on the board, followed closely by Jalen Brunson. I'm based in Texas, so there's a lot of talk around Jalen Brunson. Is he going to stay with the Mavericks? Is he going to go to New York? If you asked me before the season started what contract Brunson might get, I'd say optimistically you'd be looking 4 years, $55 million. After playing this season, most of the season as a starter, averaging like 16 points a game, that kind of thing, taking over some of the ball handling responsibilities. I thought maybe you could get up into the Fred VanVleet category of 4 years, 80 million. And now it sounds like we're up over 4 years and 100 million. Quite a increase in salary, in my opinion, in 1 year of performance for a player. But he's still very young, and this is the first year he really played starters minutes. So we'll see what kind of contract he commands. If you're a Knicks fan, you definitely need a point guard, and this is, in my opinion, the ideal point guard for a Thibodeau team. Hard-nosed, keeps his head down, doesn't say much. Very strong leader, very strong character. Mavericks will definitely miss him if he's not there next season. However, the Mavericks can go that extra year and can obviously offer more money. But we'll see if he wants the challenge in New York. Ooh, Smeltzer on an 0-2 count absolutely beans Jimenez right in the middle of his back, and Jimenez goes to the ground just to kind of catch his breath. Looks like he's fine, but still taking his time there on the ground. I mean, that pitch hit him right, not in the back, it looks like right in the kidney. Ouch. That looks painful. As he kind of crumpled to the ground. Eesh. Jimenez, the other big piece of that Lindor trade a couple years ago, also struggled initially. Francona checking on him, making sure you're good. Jimenez smiles, jogs down to first. He's fine. 1-0 Guardians over the Twins, game 1 of the doubleheader. Another curveball in there by Smeltzer. That curveball is very good today. Has a lot of movement on it and a lot of depth, too. Owen Miller, the first baseman, digs in, 255 average. However, has struggled in recent games, hitting 167. Pitch off the plate, hammers it down the third base line, foul off the dugout screen. I think he actually hit his third base coach on the ricochet of that one. 0-2 now the count. Let's see if Smeltzer can avoid hitting this batter. 1 on, no out. Smeltzer fastball, double play ball to Correa, and they turn it. 2 outs. Double play ball working for both pitchers in this game so far. Correa fielding very well over there. Looks very smooth. Defensively, he's always been a very good fielder. Sandy Leon is your catcher today for the Guardians. He's up next, to be followed by Miles Straw. Should he reach? Smeltzer does work quite a bit off of that double play ball. 21% of grounders are double play balls for him. Third best in Major League Baseball. Leon never much for the bat, always more of a defensive catcher, but he can run into one every now and again. 1-1 the count now to him, hitting 212 on the year. Leon runs into that one down the left field line. Gordon able to run underneath it, and that's the end of the inning. Definitely the hardest hit ball we've seen so far today, aside from maybe that foul ball by Jose Ramirez that was absolutely smashed down that third base line. But 1-0 Guardians after 2. Now, NBA free agency, as I mentioned, is about to kick off, and we've already talked a little bit about Kyrie. The news this morning about Kyrie, anyway, is he took an interview with The Athletic, basically said, see you in the fall. Well, apparently this morning there's new reporting out that there's still not completely dead, at least the rumors between him going to the Lakers and Irving's camp. Now, of course, there is still time before the season begins. They can still make that deal. Obviously, it would have to be centered around Russell Westbrook. Are the Nets willing to take back a guy like Russell Westbrook? Are the Lakers willing to actually pay Kyrie Irving? Is it worth it to go to, or for him to go there? All those kinds of things are all questions that need to be answered. But in my opinion, definitely would work out best. I think for both sides, just kind of end their partnership right now. One more year toiling around the 6, 7 seed in the East for the Brooklyn Nets, and then you saw how poorly they performed this postseason against the Celtics. It was just hideous. Kevin Durant's worst playoff series by far, just did not look like himself. They ambushed him, played great defense against him. Kyrie Irving, who hadn't been who was non-existent throughout the year, only played on road games, that kind of thing. It was just a very difficult situation all year round for Brooklyn. Um, Irving's a very good scorer, great ball handler, but he's just not dependable. And so when you're a team devoid of first round picks for a number of years because of your acquisitions of Harden and Irving and Durant and all that, you don't really have room for a player who's going to be a part time player. So I think it's just best they turn the page. Zach Lowe has already said if Kyrie leaves, Kevin Durant most likely will request a trade, and it will definitely be the most any team has ever gotten back for any player ever in a trade, and I definitely believe that. 4 years left, and while Kevin Durant isn't in his prime for all of that contract, he's still got 1, maybe 2 years left of prime KD, and he's still a very good shooter, prolific offensive player. I just don't think he can be relied on to be that number one piece necessarily. You need a really good two if you're still going to have him as your number one, but I just don't think there's any run left in it for the Brooklyn Nets. And a team like Zach Lowe mentions that should be able to make some type of a move to be able to give the pieces back would be a team like the Phoenix Suns. Maybe do a sign and trade of DeAndre Ayton, Miles Bridges, who was the runner-up to Defensive Player of the Year. You got a number of first-round picks still available, and some young guys that you can throw in there, Cam Johnson, that kind of thing. Maybe a Jay Crowder going back the other way, and you can still be in contention if you're the Nets. But they're no strangers to having to build from scratch before. After the trade they made for Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry years ago, they basically traded their entire future to the Boston Celtics, and that's what beat them in the playoff series. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, those are pieces directly linked to the trade that they made for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. What a difference that playoff series would have been if it had been the other team that had Kevin Durant and Tatum was on the Nets. Back to the game anyway. One out now for the Guardians as Plesac seems to have finally found his command again. Luis Arraez digging in, bounces that pitch in there. Arraez hitting .381 against righties this season, .212 off lefties. Plesac missing his spot again, upset with himself. I don't know. Plesac just looks different today than he usually does. It's like he's trying to aim the pitch instead of just throw. Literally, when he let go of that one, he left his hand basically like this in front of him when he let go of that pitch. It's like he's trying to dial it in right where he wants it to go, and he's missing a spot by 4 or 5 feet at times. 2-2 now, the count to Arraez. But thank you guys for joining us. Got 11 of y'all again with us. I know some of y'all are working, so you have to dip in and dip out. That's fine. Let us know where you're watching from. We appreciate all of y'all. Arraez pops it up, and another mystifying play, this time by Jose Ramirez at third base. Arraez is on first base after what looked like a routine pop-up behind third base this time. This one goes in the Twins' favor. Just the wind. I don't know if it's the wind. I don't know if it's the sun. I don't know if it's just lack of concentration. Arraez just basically Saw that he popped it up straight up in the air and kind of jogged to first. If he had been running, he might have been able to get the second. But that's definitely going to go as an error, in my opinion. Or at least it should. It didn't hit his glove, so technically I'm not sure if it's allowed to be classified as an error, but both teams playing poor defensively so far. Correa digging in after being walked in his first at-bat. Takes a changeup right at the top of the zone for a strike. I don't think that's where Plesac wanted that one to go either. That looked like a hanging changeup. Correa hitting .300 on the year, 8 home runs, coming over from the Astros this offseason. Signed that 3-year, $105 million deal, $35 million a year, with opt-outs after both the first and second year. Very likely going to opt out after this year to try to get that Corey Seager contract that he was hoping for. That just never came this past offseason. Yet another loaded shortstop class this offseason, headlined by Carlos Correa, Xander Bogaerts, Trey Turner, players of that ilk. Dansby Swanson's name has come up a little bit more as he performed a lot better this year. And surprise, it's a contract year, so buyer beware. 1-2 now the count. Plesac misses off the plate. That one looked a lot closer where he was wanting to go. That one to go, though. Looks like he wanted that one to be off the plate anyway. Just missed maybe where he wanted that one to go. But he's looked like that one was a little bit more to his liking. 2-2. He's set. And the pitch. Correa pops it up behind home plate and out of play. Still 2-2 now. Twins in first place in the Central, Guardians in second, White Sox in third. Who had that going into the season? White Sox have struggled with their pitching staff. They've called for some fans have called for the firing of Tony La Russa as well. He does seem to be struggling with the younger type of player finally in his career. He's always been able to adapt everywhere he's ever been a great manager for a number of decades, not just seasons, but decades. But I think he's probably going to have to hang it up here in the next year or two at the latest. Twins have played well, though, to start the year. That's kind of what they were hoping for with the acquisition of Carlos Correa. 2-2 still. The pitch fouled off again by Correa, having a very solid at-bat here, reminiscent of the Ramirez at-bat in the first for the Guardians. Virtually no holes in the swing of Carlos Correa. Down and in, maybe. Up and in, maybe. But he does, if you can get him to chase, he does struggle, but he doesn't chase at too many of them. Fly ball deep right center field, back to the wall, caught by Gonzalez, and back to first goes Arrives. I think he got underneath that one just a little bit. Correa hammered that pitch the opposite way and wasn't able to get quite enough of it. Definitely gave a scare to all the Guardians fans. Plesac thought that one was gone off the bat as he kind of slumped over. But nope, that one kept in. Maybe it is the wind. Correa was a little surprised that one didn't get out. They finally show a shot of the flags. They are blowing a little bit. From left to right anyway. Kepler down the opposite line, foul ball. One thing about a pitcher who's missing his location, you just have to wait for your pitch. Don't chase. Don't try to take an opportunity that isn't there. Wait for your pitch. And it seems like that message has gotten across to some of the Twins hitters. The second time through, they've performed very well so far. Leon tries to get the call on that one, on the pitch up and in. Plesac also unhappy they weren't able to get that one. Garlic on deck to be followed by Kirilov should Kepler continue the inning. Correa watching that one on replay on the tablet in the dugout. That one was in there. And it's 1-2 now to Kepler. Leon setting up down and in. Does not get down enough, but it is fair. Smothered by Miller at the first base, right at the first base bag. Taps on first with the glove, and the inning is over. Looks like Arise was running on the play anyway. But the threat is over. 1-0 Guardians as we head to the bottom of the third. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate all of y'all. Wherever you may be watching from, if you're at work or if you have the day off, just enjoying a baseball game with us. If you'd paid attention before the season started, might have been a little bit different summer if we didn't have that collective bargaining agreement in time. Might not have had baseball for all these months during the slower sports calendar. Here at the Upside, we kind of enjoy the off season more because you get more of the transactions, that kind of a thing. During the season, you don't see too many moves happen as teams like to wait till around the deadline. The Royals, however, did decide to go ahead and ship off Carlos Santana the other day to the Seattle Mariners. No surprise there, as Jerry Dipoto, Trader Jerry, is trying to make some moves to make the Mariners better. They did not get out to the season they had hoped for so far, but looking to kind of turn things around. Mariners behind the Rangers, Angels, and Astros in the division. Astros definitely still the class of the AL West, as most people suspected. One thing that they've done better than most teams is they've been able to develop pitching. And their young pitching no-hit the Yankees the other day in New York. Very impressive feat. Rangers, after all the money they spent this offseason, even if they get back up to about 500, that's a 21-game improvement over last year. Just finishing at 500 would be a remarkable turnaround for the Rangers. Right now, they're 2 games under. They ended the month of May at 500, so we'll see if they can get there before the end of the month. Got a couple games left to do so. Angels, of course, they have the Shohei Ohtani thing to deal with as far as his free agency coming up. Mike Trout, are they squandering the best player in baseball? That conversation. They're 4 games under 500 at the moment. The Athletics, of course, gave up on the season before it even began. They're trading away pretty much everything. If it's not nailed down, heck, even if it is nailed down, they'll remove the nails for you and ship it out to you if you give them the right price. Frankie Montas is probably the biggest name that they have left to deal out. Miles Straw digs in against Smeltzer, 2-1 now the count. Straw hitting .203, came over from the Astros. Definitely plays great defense, gives him a lot of speed on the base paths, a little bit light hitting with the bat. He will have his moments where he can put a few games together, a few weeks of really solid performance at the plate, but there's a reason why he's in the 9 hole. Swing and a miss, way behind on that one. 90-mile-an-hour fastball, it looked like. And Smeltzer gets the strikeout. Rangers, San Diego, and Detroit bullpen. Yeah, Detroit. Bullpens are very mercurial, to say the least. One year you'll have a great bullpen, keep the exact same team in place, and next year they won't be half the bullpen they were before. So if you're a rebuilding team, if you have a great bullpen, in my opinion, you should do nothing but auction those bullpen pieces off, because other teams around the playoff time always want a really good, high-quality reliever. but you can't expect to repeat that performance the following year, and the following year after that, and the following year after that. There's like 5 relievers currently in Major League Baseball who you could say you can count on their performance as Quan flies out to center. 2 outs now in the bottom of the third. But in my opinion, if you're a rebuilding team like the Detroit Tigers or the Rangers who expect to be around 500 all year, if you can flip some of those late inning relievers for pieces that can help your future, you do so. Welcome, welcome, Eduardo. Rosario takes a strike in there. As Smeltzer works for the second time through the lineup. But for San Diego, they also have had their issues over the last year or two with performance, mainly out of that starting staff. Right now, they're right where everybody pretty much thought they would be, second place in the NL West, only a game and a half back. They've gotten a lot of great performances out of players you might not have expected it from. Will Myers and Eric Hosmer to begin the year, especially with Tatis on the injured list for 3 months to begin the year. Who knows? Maybe if they had had Tatis from the beginning of the year, maybe they're a couple of games in front of the Dodgers. But as it stands right now, only a game and a half back. That ball gets down for Rosario as Celestino is unable to make a diving catch in center. Rosario is 2 for 2 today. Thank you guys for joining us here at the Upside. Ramirez digging in, hoping to do some damage as Smeltzer bounces that one in. Not a bad option just to kind of pitch around Ramirez here. He's probably the one bat in this lineup that you can really count on to do some damage. With the pop out in the first, dropped his average under 300 for the season. Twins broadcast anyway, talking to Sonny Gray, who put out a nice performance the other day. But the Rangers bullpen definitely is much improved, and they're going to get better. Jonathan Hernandez, who pitched very well for them in a setup role about a year ago, had injury issues. I can't remember if it was Tommy John, but I believe it was Tommy John. He's expected to start his rehab assignment, if not, I can't remember if he's already started or not, but he's right on the cusp of being big league available. Jose Leclerc, anyway, missed all of 2021 after suffering an injury in 2020 that required Tommy John surgery as well. But he is back on the big league club. The Rangers probably will have to auction off a couple of their bullpen arms. They've already had to designate one of those arms for assignment in Spencer Patton. He's not necessarily a world beater by any means, as I don't expect him to be claimed. In fact, I don't think he was claimed. I think he was optioned down to AAA completely. But they're going to have a full bullpen here in a few months. So they should be able to auction off at least a couple of pieces, get them some young bats. Maybe they can even get a draft pick after losing their second and third round pick due to the acquisitions of Seager and Simeon this offseason. MLB draft is right around the corner anyway. Top prospect in the game, pretty much by everybody's consensus, is Drew Jones. For those of you who think, hey, maybe that sounds a little familiar, it's because it does. Andrew Jones, you remember the center fielder for the Atlanta Braves for all those years, ended up being a DH and becoming more of a power hitter later in his career. Rangers and Yankees, those type of teams. His son, anyway, is now going to be in the MLB draft anyway, and he's heads and shoulders above everybody else in the draft, in my opinion. Now, you know how teams like to get cute around the draft and save money to get a couple of blue chip prospects, maybe in that second and third round. So maybe Drew won't be the number 1 pick. There's at least some discussion about that, but he is by far the best player in the draft. If you're the Orioles, how can you really justify passing up on that good of a talent? There are any number of teams who'd be happy to have him. Rangers probably would trade just about anybody on their roster just for a chance to be able to get Drew Jones. But of course, those picks are not tradable. I expect that to probably change in the next CBA as a way to allow teams that don't have the payroll to acquire some young major league talent from other teams. They already allow him to trade the consolation picks and that kind of a thing, but not the actual round by round picks. Only way you can lose those anyway is by compensation, those kinds of things. 1-0 Cleveland over Minnesota as we hit the top of the 4th inning. Drew Jones is probably going to be one of the top 3 picks. I don't think he gets past the Rangers because that's literally the one position that they don't really have a top prospect at right now. The top prospects that they had at that position that they drafted over the years, Bubba Thompson, Leody Taveras, just haven't really been able to hit the way that they need them to at center field. They're actually going to play Ezekiel Duran, one of the pieces they got back in the Joey Gallo deal, as in center field and some left field, just to kind of see if they can move him around the diamond a little bit, as he is blocked at the major league level by Seager and Simeon up the middle. Third base is probably going to be Josh Young's, unless, of course, when he comes back from his injury, if they decide to opt to move him to first base. But the Rangers would kill to have Andrew Jones, or Drew Jones anyway, in their stable. 1 out now. Kirilloff digs in. Strike 1 to him. 0 for 1, hitting .238 on the year. Twins prospect looking to kind of take off here. See if he can improve on the major league level. Always thought very highly of his bat in the minor leagues, but found a little bit of struggles in the majors so far. 0-2 now the count. Plesac bending in the pitch there. Doesn't look like he's using the PitchCom communication software or PitchCom that they have. Literally going through signs. Maybe Leon is just old school and doesn't want to use it. Maybe it's Plesac who doesn't want to deal with a voice in his ear telling him where to pitch. Misses location in the dirt with that one. 1-2 now the count. And strike 3. Maybe Plesac can rebound nicely here. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you're having a decent day at work, enjoying your lunch break, just enjoying some afternoon baseball. Gary Sanchez digs back in for his second time. 9 home runs on the year so far. Swing and a miss way out in front on that one. Sanchez looks a little bit uncomfortable in the box today. Very different seeing him with actual beard as opposed to clean shaven like he was with the Yankees. Sanchez goes the other way and singles up the middle. Very nice. He's actually able to not pull it every single time. Guardians had him shifted over, expecting a ground ball to that side. Would have been right at the second baseman if it had been traditional positions for him. Bounced right off the mound, right underneath the leg of Plesac, who tripped over himself trying to avoid being hit by that one. Nick Gordon, who walked in the second, digs back in. Swings at a very bad pitch down in the dirt. 0-1. Where'd y'all end up going to put in the action? Did y'all go online? Y'all got a friend you make that you make bets with? Do the Caesars thing? What do y'all do? 0-2 now the count to Gordon. And the pitch. Gordon goes the other way. This one into left center. Gets down for a hit. Straw comes up ready to throw, but of course it's Sanchez running. No way he was turning and rounding second. First and second now. Little two-out rally here for the Twins. See if they can push across a run here and tie things up. Up and out over the plate on the outside corner. Gordon just offers it into left center. Takes it where it's thrown. Solid approach there for Gordon. Plesac unable to retire him and get out of the inning without giving up a run, so we'll see if it comes around to cost him. Last time Miranda grounded into a double play with 2 outs. All Plesac needs is just the 1 out, so hoping to put him away here. Miranda aggressive going after that first pitch, fastball in the outside corner. He does have 4 home runs on the year. And as I remember earlier, I believe he was hitting .321 in his last 28 games or something like that. So definitely a little bit more of a hot bat anyway for the Twins. Nice. I did the Bovada thing for a while as well. Local, I used to have a friend that I would bet games with, that kind of thing, but he's since moved away and makes it a lot more difficult when nobody else is interested in putting money on anything, of course. But the Bovada site is definitely one of the more popular ones. Caesars, BetMGM is coming on. If you've noticed over the past couple of years, ESPN has sent out a lot of their talent, and they've since moved on to Fox or other networks, NBC. But a few of them have actually hooked on with some of the casinos to advertise for their sports books, kind of do meet and greets, that kind of thing. And foul ball just down the line. Miranda's just gets into the seats, and it's still 1-2 to him. Kenny Mayne did it for a minute with Caesars, I believe. Trey Wingo does it as well, I believe, nowadays. Paul Pierce, who was fired by ESPN because of some comments that he made, I believe, was hired on by one of those sports books, maybe FanDuel, I believe. There's also DraftKings out there. There's a lot of different ones that people use nowadays. My personal favorite is actually going to the sports book, though. I don't know. There's just something about being able to fill out the paperwork with one of those little tiny little pencils they give you. I don't know. It just feels more. I don't know. More. I guess I'm old school in that way. It's like people who read a lot of books for the smell, that kind of thing, the texture, the feel of the turn of the pages, as opposed to reading the Kindle. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know. Online sports betting isn't bad, though. The way you're able to do live betting, you can't really do that in person. Live betting, you can increase or on one side of the bet, you can even flip your bet around as the game goes along. So if you notice, hey, the Twins are out in front by 15 runs, you can say, hey, I'll bet the Twins to win by 14. And you're hoping Cleveland gets 1 run, stuff like that. Two and two now the count. Miranda fouls that one off down into the dirt. Trying to stay alive. Put together a nice at bat here, making Plesac work, who's up to 70 pitches now in the 4th inning. With a doubleheader, the more you can make that starter work, the better you're going to be both in game 1 and game 2. It all depends on how the manager wants to play it. If they want to put all their A players in game 1, put them all in game 2, split them between the two. Maybe they use a reliever they normally wouldn't in a situation. It allows you to get an advantage. So the more you can make that starter work, the better off you are. 2-2, the pitch. Right down the middle. Miranda pops it up, though, to deep right center field. Straw is there and makes the catch. A little bit of a mistake there by Plesac, but Miranda got underneath it and wasn't able to cash in on that one. No runs, 3 hits, no errors so far. For the Twins, 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for the Guardians. But as we mentioned earlier in the game, a couple of mystifying pop-ups that both teams were unable to make a defensive play on. So maybe there should be an error on both of them. But both of them went down as a hit. We've already talked about the NBA free agency starting up in a couple of days. NHL free agency gets underway as well in a couple of days. But like I mentioned earlier, most of those transactions are going to happen on the 1st. I just really enjoy the way that both the NHL Network, even the Canadian channels do their broadcasts as far as like how they go over free agency. They have interviews with the players after they sign their contracts or agree to their contracts. It's a very enjoyable way to do free agency. Other sports could take a page from that book. Football, while they have all the different transactions and it's kind of spread out over a period of time and it's before the draft, there's not something where you can sit down and watch it at like an appointment television like you could for NHL free agency. You can request off of work and you can watch your favorite team make all the moves that they need to in one day. And you can watch the entire rest of the league make their moves in one day. It's just a very enjoyable way they do it. Not too many people talk about it, but it's something the NHL definitely has gotten right. And I don't think they get enough credit for it. ESPN's picked up some of the NHL coverage as well, TNT, so we'll see if they do free agency specials for their networks as well. Of course, everybody thinks of hockey being the Canadian sport. Well, it's becoming more and more of an American sport as other teams, different markets are included. Vegas Golden Knights and Seattle got a team the past few years. Dallas was in the Cup final. Tampa Bay's won a few. Colorado. Non-traditional hockey markets are getting further and further into the playoffs, and it's growing the sport. So let us know if you're a fan of any of those teams, who you're pulling for, if you're looking for one player to sign with your team or re-sign with your team, maybe a player you're hoping to trade for. As I mentioned, I'm a Rangers fan. I'm also a Dallas Stars fan, so I'm kind of hoping we keep John Klingberg, but we've already invested a lot of money into this team, so it'll be interesting to see if we keep him or not. Definitely one of the better offensive defensemen in the league. Franmil Reyes digs in. He had an RBI double on that mystifying pop-up behind first base in the second. Or excuse me, in the first. Wind is now blowing straight in. So the wind is swirling around a little bit, I suppose. Game in Cleveland today. 1-2 now the count. Curveball way inside off the plate. Reyes bends out of the way. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Nice changeup on the outside corner. Able to bend it back over enough to be able to entice Reyes. Probably would have been a strike anyway. But Smeltzer able to throw the off-speed pitch and get the strikeout. Thank you guys for joining us. If you're at work, appreciate you joining us. If you're unable to watch the game wherever you're at, if you're an out-of-market fan of either one of the teams, or if you got money riding on the game, we got a couple of our fans in the chat. who already have money on both sides of the equation, both on the Twins and Guardians. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, please do so. See if we can get this over 1,000 by the end of the year. That would be nice. It's quite a lofty goal, but certainly helps every little person, or every person who helps every little bit. Gonzalez pounds that one into the dirt, foul. 1-2 the count. Second game of this doubleheader, I believe, starts around 6 o'clock. Swing and a miss. Meltzer gets another strikeout. That one was way off the plate on the outside. Gonzalez unhappy with himself on that one. Looks back at the pitcher going, "What did you just throw?" Whatever it was, you didn't know what it was, Gonzalez. Jimenez back in there, took a hit by pitch on an 0-2 count earlier this game anyway, in the second inning, I believe. Curveball in there from Smeltzer. He's got a very good curveball, a lot of height to it, a lot of movement. To me, it's been his best pitch. Changeup's probably been his second, and his fastball is very average, but the way he mixes in the off speed with it makes it work really well. Jimenez swing and miss at that pitch off the plate, and it's now 0-2 to Jimenez. 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth. And the pitch. Way outside. Ball 1. Lined foul again. Still 1-2. A little bit of a sidearm on that one, almost an underhand toss, up and in. Little bit of chin music that just kept on rising. Ended up almost above the head of the umpire. Right down the middle, fastball. Jimenez drives it to deep center, but not quite deep enough. Just before the track, Celestino brings it in, and that's the end of the inning. Through 4, it's 1-0 Guardians. 3 hits for both teams, no errors. As we go to the 5th, it's going to be Celestino, Arise, and Correa. 9, 1, and 2 for the Twins due up in the 5th. Plesac already has a hefty pitch count, and this will be the 3rd time through the order for him. We'll see how much longer he lasts in this game. With a doubleheader, maybe they're willing to push it a little further than they normally would. But of course, when there is a doubleheader, you do get that extra player who doesn't really count against your roster option times, but you just get to use that extra player just for the doubleheader purposes alone. Almost every single time it's for a pitcher. But as we mentioned, hockey free agency is going to start on the 1st. In my opinion, the biggest free agent out there, in my perspective anyway, is going to be a guy like a John Klingberg, players of that ilk. Claude Giroux, of course, is going to be a free agent. Evgeny Malkin, PK Subban. Malkin, pretty much everybody expects Malkin to go back to Pittsburgh. However, there was a headline today Probably just a headline, literally just to get clicks, that he may not end up back with the Penguins. I'll believe it when I see it. Celestino digs in. 0-1 now the count to him. Up and in on a curveball by Plesac that misses its location again. Plesac struggled with command all game, but so far has kept the Twins off the board. Another swing and a miss for Celestino, helping out Plesac there on that pitch, low and away. Claude Giroux is probably the most talented player on the market in NHL free agency. 28 years old. Basically has been everything for the offense of the Calgary Flames. We'll see if he stays in Calgary, or if he decides to take his talent somewhere else and find some more playoff success. This year they did beat the Stars in the postseason, but weren't able to get further than that. Celestino grounds out to second. Jimenez throws on to first. And Celestino is easily beaten by the throw. Kind of cued off the end of the bat. Third time through starts now. 76 pitches so far for Plesac. If he can get through this inning with, say, 85, 86 pitches, probably comes back out for the sixth. Arise takes all the way. Strike one on the inside corner. So did y'all bet money line? Did you go with spread? What did y'all end up doing? Or did you take a prop bet? How many hits somebody has, that kind of thing. Up and in, Plesac missing quite a ways by that one. 1-2 now the count to Luis Arise. He did get some pub before the game from a number of national media outlets, Luis Arise anyway, for being one of the top hitters in the game this year due to on-base percentage, those kinds of things. Ball two, as that pitch misses outside by about 6-7 inches. And the pitch. Wow, what a hefty swing by Arise as he tried to use his massive swing there to try to catch up to the speed of that one. Just was not able to do it, and Plesac gets the second out. He might be able to go 6 innings, which at the beginning of this game would not have seemed very feasible due to his inability to find the strike zone. But things have certainly calmed down for him. Looks like he knows which pitch he's able to locate when he needs to. Still struggles with command, but he's fighting through it. Correa way inside at the knees, ball one. Cleveland first half by a run. Interesting. Well, you're about to get there if they can get the out here. Correa fouls that one off. I wonder what they consider first half, at the end of the fifth inning or at the end of 5.5, because it's official game after 5.5 innings, I believe. Way inside, Correa swings and misses at that one. I don't know why he swung at that one. He looks down the third base line, wondering that himself. 1 through 5. Cool. Well, if you get Correa here, you win. Way up and out there. Another ball. Plesac still struggling to find that command when he needs it. Correa gets a hold of one, though. You'll be in trouble. Swing and a miss. Ugly swing at that one, and that's the third out of the inning. Looks like your first leg looks good. Got your first half minus a half a point. Congratulations to you, Bingo. So you said you were a Dodger fan in Florida. What you always been in Florida, or you just grew up a Dodger fan, moved out to Florida later on? Here, drink. Not the type of drink you were thinking, but hey. Thank you guys for joining us. Got 12 of y'all now watching the Twins and Guardians with us through 4.5 at the moment. It's going to be Miller, Leone, and Straw, the 7, 8, and 9 hitters for the Guardians due up. Just a little bit of news out of the Dodgers and Atlanta Braves. Looks like Dodgers first baseman Freddie Freeman has fired his agent. He's really upset with how things played out in free agency, apparently. Sounds like he wanted to go back to Atlanta and was just using other teams to kind of drive up the price and hopefully end up staying there. You saw how he got that go-ahead hit in extra innings the other day against his former team, and how he was emotional both during and after the game. And that was his second game against the Braves in Atlanta. Sounds like Freddie Freeman definitely wants to go back to Atlanta. Sounds like a man who's regretting his decision. Not necessarily for a chance to win titles, just misses the place where he was comfortable. Miller pops that one into deep left field. Gordon settles underneath it. Wynn moving that ball again, but he makes the catch. But yeah, it sounds like Freddie Freeman is not at all happy having to wind up where he was. Sounds like he didn't want to end up having to make the choice to end up leaving Atlanta. So Atlanta went ahead and moved on without him. Maybe he was unhappy with how the hardline stance they took. Cool. Not too many people make the trek out to watch spring training baseball anymore, but that's really where you can see literally both your current and future team. You can see some of the younger prospects get time with a big league club, and they actually are fan accessible too. They're more willing to, or they're more able to approach the players and get signatures, autographs, those kinds of things, picture opportunities with the players. So I highly recommend going to see spring training baseball if you are a true through and through baseball fan. Plus, it's spring training. I mean, you get to take a nice vacation in a nice area, Florida, Arizona, and just enjoy the nice weather. If you're from the north, you get to miss out on some of the cold and get used to some heat. And if you're from one of the warmer climates, Hey, just moving around, seeing different scenery is a good thing. But spring training baseball is always interesting. You get to see a little bit of different strategy and how they go about it. Will you see ties every now and again? But it's spring training baseball. You don't really care about the result. You just want to see your players play, see the future of your team, get your team loose, and have a good time. Do you still go see spring training baseball or no? Nice pitch there by Smeltzer as he looks to put in another 1-2-3 inning. He's only at 72 pitches right now through 4 2/3. Appreciate all of you for joining us here today. 1-0 Guardians. Straw almost offered at that pitch in the other batter box. 1-2 now the count. Again, game 1 of our doubleheader today. Swing and a miss. Meltzer fired up on that one. He's really settled down after that first inning. Pitching a gem so far. 1-0 Guardians. 3 hits for both sides. No errors. Some of the other free agents available for the NHL. Chris Letang. He's a 35-year-old defenseman, so I don't know how much more run you're going to get out of him, but definitely has the leadership, playoff experience, those kinds of things that you want to keep an eye out for. Philip Forsberg, another one of the top players on the market, only 27. Nashville Predators, of course. He probably ends up re-signing there, but we will see. Predators are going through a little bit of a rebuild. Is Forsberg willing to stick with the club, or is he looking to kind of find a greener pasture? Apparently, he was displeased with the move that they made to trade away Victor Arvidsson to the Kings. The Kings, of course, were in the postseason. And it sounds like the Predators are not willing to go north of $9 million. Forsberg sounds like he wants more than at least 8, so maybe there's some room to wiggle around in there. But it sounds like a lot of teams, if you're paying attention, do a lot of their due diligence before the first, and that's why hockey free agency is so much fun. You just get everything as fast as you can within that period of time. One player that just won the Stanley Cup, Nazem Kadri, 31-year-old center, had some groups voice their displeasure to him during the postseason, had some problems of hate, that kind of a thing. We do not condone that, never will. It's unfortunate that people still have to deal with this kind of thing, and it's not just Nazem Kadri that's had to deal with it, but we hope for the best for all people involved who have to deal with that on a daily basis. But he's going to be one of the other top free agents out there, looking for a little bit of a raise coming off of a $4.5 million cap hit this year. He definitely over-delivered after struggling with the Toronto Maple Leafs early on, or at least perceived struggles with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Maybe the Maple Leafs will look to reacquire him. But honestly, I expect him to stay with the Colorado Avalanche. He seems to have found a group there that'll work for him. We already mentioned John Klingberg. Patrice Bergeron, it'll be interesting to see if he retires or not. He's 36 years old, definitely on the downside of his career, and just wrapped up the last year of his 8-year, $55 million deal. Maybe he cashes in on a 1 or 2 year deal this offseason just to kind of pad those numbers just a little bit before he does decide to hang up the skates. 1 out now in the top of the 6th. Plesac working to Garlick. Kepler just lined out to the left fielder. And 1-2 now the count as Plesac finds the strike zone. Nice. Yeah, Atlanta was another one of my favorite teams growing up just because they were on national TV. If you remember, their games were on TBS every single night. They were the only nationally broadcast team besides maybe the Chicago Cubs, but not everybody had WGN back then. Everybody pretty much who had cable TV had TBS as part of their package, and so that's why I was a little bit of a Braves fan growing up. Chipper Jones, those kind of thing, or that type of player. Ryan Klesko, of course, Glavine, Maddox, Smoltz, Javi Lopez, Andres Galarraga, Andrew Jones, Wally Joyner. There's a whole bunch of them anyway. David Justice as Garlick strikes out there. I'm pronouncing garlic. I have no idea how it's actually pronounced. I don't listen to the games with the sound on too much, but my apologies if it's actually pronounced garlic. Eek. High strike there called to Kirilov. Has a word for the umpire just to kind of figure out where the top of the zone is if he's going to go any higher than that. Jams him, pops it up right over second base, blows around in the wind again. Almost looked like it was going to be bobbled there by Rosario. Looked like it popped out of his glove for just a second, but he's able to make the catch, and the side is retired. Plesac definitely has pitched very well after struggling with command pretty much the entire game, but still only has allowed 3 hits. First and second place in the AL Central between the Twins and Guardians today in Cleveland. But yeah, the Atlanta Braves were definitely one of my favorites growing up. So catching a game at Turner Field was always a dream of mine. Of course, now they have the new field, so that'll never happen. I don't think they've demolished the field, though, from what I remember. At least I could probably go see it at some point, I hope. I remember the home run derby with Sammy Sosa was there one time. Can't remember if that was the year he hit the mass. I think that was the year he hit so many in a round. And then Josh Hamilton years later hit a whole bunch more in another round at a different ballpark. I think that one might have been in Minnesota, actually. But anyway. Top of the order for the Guardians, Kwan, Rosario, and Ramirez. Rosario 2 for 2 on the day, and Ramirez 0 for 2. So it'll be interesting to see how well Smeltzer goes through the third time through the lineup. He has pitched very well over the past few innings. There we go. Sometimes forget some of the things when you were younger, like living up north. You may not have, living down south now anyway, you may not have heard of northern companies like Menards. Still can hear the jingle in my head from when I was like 6 years old. Save big money at Menards. Kwan takes ball 1. Strike there on the outside corner as the curveball again working for Smeltzer today. Looks like that seems to be his get him over pitch to start the inning, and then he kind of works off of that. Fastball on the outside corner, fouled off by Kwan. 1-2 now the count. Evander Kane is another one of the top free agents out there, but due to his off the ice issues and money issues due to bankruptcy and that kind of a thing, he's definitely someone you're going to have to do a lot of background work on, but did perform very well with Connor McDavid. But of course, who wouldn't? Strikeout there by Smeltzer gets Quan swinging on a pitch outside the zone. Thank you guys for joining us today. Afternoon baseball, 1-0 Guardians over the Twins. Smeltzer's really found a rhythm as he's gone on in this game. Up to 79 pitches now. Plesac has fought through command issues, but has found a way to keep the Twins off the board. Got a lot of y'all out there who's got money on both sides of the game, both on the Twins and on the Guardians. So we'll see which side ends up prevailing. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, please do so. We'll try to do a lot of these watch parties and live streams as we go. Got moved to a new house and everything, so took a lot of time to get everything set up for the new studio, I guess we could call it, office area. So this will be the first one back for us in probably about a month or two since we did our last live stream. But we'll try to do at least one a week. I want to try to do at least 3 or 4 if I can. Just kind of depends on what the 9-to-5 job allows me to do, you know. If you enjoy these watch parties, that kind of thing, let us know. If you have a favorite team you'd like us to look at and see if we can do one of, let us know that as well. 2-2. That pitch misses. Now 3-2 to Rosario. Smeltzer set, and the pitch. Right in there. Beautiful off-speed pitch by Rosario. Just froze him. It's like Rosario thought that pitch was going to be outside, thought he might have to chase it, but nope. Smeltzer gets it done. He's a little bit animated on the mound as the game's gone along. Fired up with himself on that one. Of course, what pitcher doesn't like getting the strikeout? Can't blame him. Now Ramirez probably has the hardest hit ball in the game today, but it was, of course, a foul ball. 0 for 2, though. Evens the count 1-1. Another hard hit ball by Ramirez. This one is fair ball, though, and it's going to stay fair. Gets stuck in the corner. Gordon finally gets over there and picks it up. It's a double for Ramirez. You knew you weren't going to keep him down the entire game, but that's a 2-out double. And with Reyes coming up, got to be careful not to allow that second runner to score, especially in a game like today where runs seem to be at a premium. Even base hits, honestly. Only 7 hits in the game combined by both sides, and honestly, 2 of those shouldn't even be counted hits. Those should be errors, as they were pop-ups that just fell due to the wind swirling around. Reyes takes low for ball 1. 1 for 2 on the day for Reyes. He was the one who had that RBI double on that one ball that was hit behind first base over Kirilloff's head. Kirilloff did not go out for it. Arise did not go out for it, and Kepler was too far away on a full sprint. Wasn't able to get over there in time, and that allowed Rosario to score from first base on a simple pop-up behind first. 2-0 now the count to Reyes. Smeltzer takes a little bit of a walk around the mound anyway to kind of get his bearings again. You see this sometimes with pitchers. Once they get a little bit of emotional with it, they start to lose their location. Another pitch that misses his spot there. 3-0. I thought at the beginning of the inning maybe he could come back out for the 7th, but right now he's starting to struggle with command. That one's in there. Reyes taking all the way. 3-1 now the count. Oscar Gonzalez will be next if Reyes is able to reach. Another off-speed pitch pounded into the dirt by Reyes, and it's now full. 3-2. Ramirez will be running on the pitch. Eli Morgan loosening up in the Guardians bullpen. Maybe Plesac is done for the day after all. Smeltzer, the pitch. Got Reyes to chase, but it's low, and he's able to pound it into the dirt again. 3-2, still the count. After a 2-out double by Ramirez, Reyes looking to get that insurance run. Swing and a miss, another off-speed pitch. Reyes just did not look like a good swing on that one at all. Way out in front, unable to make contact, and Smeltzer able to get the K. Fired up again. We'll see if he comes back out for the 7th. Maybe both starters are done now, but we shall see. Yeah, definitely sounds like Freddie Freeman is very unhappy with his representation. Seems like he sent a do not contact letter to that to his former agent as well. Sounds like he's referring everything to his attorneys and new agent once he gets one. Freddie Freeman is not a happy man. Maybe the trip to Atlanta just kind of pushed him over the edge that he's basically done with it. I don't know if he's moved out to LA or if that's his off-season home or anything like that, but he was an LA boy originally. Then, of course, he was drafted and homegrown by the Atlanta Braves. And it just seems like that was just everything was perfect and set for him there. But it sounds like he wants to go back like nobody's business. Other news, Bryce Harper is to have thumb surgery. Phillies are not sure how long it will take him to recover. Honestly, if thumb surgery, sounds like you're looking at least a month that he's going to miss. And it does look like Plesac is out. Eli Morgan is on the mound. So if you're the Twins, now's your chance. Looks like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will not be participating in the Home Run Derby. Just announced by Adam Schefter, the Washington Commanders and Terry McLaurin have just agreed to a contract extension worth $71 million in new money that makes him among the top 5 highest paid wide receivers. Wow. I was not expecting that deal to get done. At least not now, anyway. That's a surprising development. Terry McLaurin, kind of a homegrown guy for the Commanders, really has made a name for himself the past 2 or 3 years. Is he really worth 23 million plus a year? We'll see. If you're the Commanders, though, you really need some offensive performance, and he's really your only offensive weapon that you have the last few years. Carson Wentz was brought in to be their quarterback, and you haven't even seen him throw a pass to Terry McLaurin yet, and you're signing him to a 3-year, $71 million extension. That's a little scary. Wow. Looks like more comments from the Dodgers manager on the Freddie Freeman thing. Freddie Freeman apparently is having a lot of difficulty being back in Atlanta. Emotionally, Quan tries to give that one a look off the netting. Foul ball, 1-2 now the count as Eli Morgan works to Gary Sanchez. Other news, it sounds like the United States Senate is looking to take away the antitrust exemption for Major League Baseball due to their treatment of minor league players. They've always been in the crosshairs for a number of years, though. When you don't pay taxes, the government is always going to take a look at you. Players, of course, have to pay their taxes due to their salary, but the organizations themselves don't participate in that type of thing. They don't have to worry about tax or anything like that. Hence the reason for the investigation. But as we mentioned, Terry McLaurin just signed that extension with the Commanders. Looks like Sanchez just pounds it into the dirt right to Morgan, who flips on to first, and the first out of the seventh is here. Bunch of news stories coming out about Freddie Freeman. Apparently, he's telling friends and family that while he's back in Atlanta, that he's upset with how things worked out. Now, this is his first trip back in Atlanta, so it kind of makes sense that it's all coming out now anyway. Earlier in the day, Russell Westbrook agreed to, or at least signed his 1-year player option anyway. A lot of sports stories today. John Wall agreed to a buyout, $6.5 million. He took off of his salary for the Rockets to go ahead and release him. He's still going to get $40 million from the organization, but he's going to go ahead and sign for the 6.5 taxpayer exemption that the Clippers are going to have. So he basically doesn't lose much money at all. As Gordon pops out there, and we have 2 away. 2 up, 2 down for Eli Morgan, getting soft contact so far. Jose Miranda up there again. Takes outside, ball 1. Oh for 2 on the day so far, grounded into a double play and had a fly ball the previous at bat to the deeper part of the park. Unable to get it done. Twins have double-barreled action going, so it looks like Smeltzer's night is done as well. Miranda swing and a miss way out in front of that off-speed pitch. 2-1 now the count. Sounds like the Utah Jazz are about to make an offer to Will Hardy, the Celtics assistant coach, to be their head coach next season. For some reason, they decided to get rid of Quinn Snyder. But it sounds like the Utah Jazz are going to have a lot of changes, possibly trading one of, if not both of, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. NBA free agency starts in a couple of days, so don't just keep your eye on the free agent market, as the free agent market isn't that white hot this year. A lot of teams don't have money this year. There's not a lot of top free agents on the board. Bradley Beal is expected to opt out of his contract and then turn around and sign for the Supermax with the Washington Wizards. So for those of you who are hoping that Bradley Beal would be the answer to your team's future, it's not this year. Maybe next year. I think Bradley Beal just wants to, 1, lock up his money, 2, see if they can get a point guard that he can actually get along with after not being able to make things work with Spencer Dinwiddie last year after they invested $17 million in the position. They do have a lot of good forwards on the team. Rui Hachimura, Kyle Kuzma, Kristaps Porzingis. They got a couple of good centers. And they've drafted some shooters as well in Denny Avila and Kispert as well. But they need a point guard, so we'll see if Bradley Beal is able to get one to stay there. Miranda hammers that ball down the left field line, just like Ramirez into the corner. Throw coming into second. Miranda may be caught. Throws offline, though, and he's able to beat it into second base. A 2-out double there by Miranda. Keeps us hot hitting over the past month or so. As we mentioned earlier, coming into the game, he had a .321 average. Looks like he's going to have a pinch runner. Contreras comes out to be the pinch runner for Miranda. On that ball, you should easily be able to get into second. You can kind of see he was kind of laboring around first base. Not exactly the fastest runner I've ever seen, and that looks to be the reason why they pulled him, especially in a one-run game. If you can get this run across with a base hit to the outfield, you're doing good. Mark Contreras is the pinch runner at second. And Celestino is up, the number 9 place hitter. Kind of surprised they're not bringing in a pinch hitter here. Celestino hits it hard, but straight up in the air. Straw on the run, off the wall, and it gets away from Straw. This will tie the game. Celestino driving or heading to third, and the ball gets away from Ramirez, but it's backed up nicely by the pitcher. What a play. Here I was just saying that they might need to pinch hit for him, and he's able to deliver. Hits a wall ball, and the ball gets away. I'm not sure if they're going to call that a double with an error on Straw for allowing that ball to get behind him after bounding off the wall, or if they're going to call that a straight-up triple. But either way, the play of the game so far for the Twins, and they tie it at 1. Sorry, Bingo. Looks like you got a brand new ball game now. And a run is the next run anyway for the Twins is only 90 feet away. It looks like we're going to have at least a mound visit, if not a pitching change here. Nope, just a mound visit. Cleveland for years has been able to develop young pitching. Today, first 2 outs on weak contact by Morgan. The last 2 are hard hit balls by both Miranda and Celestino, the 8 and 9 hitters in the lineup. And now the lineup card flips over for Arise. Arise hammers right-handed pitching, so I'm not exactly sure why they don't have a lefty up in this situation anyway to kind of get a better chance to retire the batter. But I guess they're just going to stick with it. Morgan stays out on the mound. They're going to go righty on lefty. They do have Sam Hinches in the bullpen warming up. Hinches? I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway. But Arise is up, hitting .432 with runners in scoring position. Seems to really hone in, and he does hit right-handed pitching very well. Off-speed pitch by Morgan as Arise was looking all the way. Arise looking very, very, very focused right now. Nervous time if you're a Guardians fan. Arise up the middle. However, Rosario is there, flips onto first. Miller able to dig it out, and the side is retired. However, the 8-9 in the lineup for the Twins comes through, and they tie the game at 1. Wow. Did not see that coming. Smeltzer, of course, pitched 6 innings anyway, gave up the 1 run. His day is probably over after having double-barreled action going in the top half of the 7th. Looks like most people are reporting the Terry McLaurin extension now, $28 million guaranteed for the wide receiver. A lot of wide receiver moves this offseason. Devontae Adams to the Raiders. Christian Kirk, of course, signed that huge deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it'll be interesting to see how that contract works out. He was one of the top performing wide receivers out of the slot last year. In fact, I think he might have been the number 1 receiver out of the slot. However, even still, it wasn't enough to garner, that many catches on a team that was pass happy as well. Kyler Murray was slinging it around all over the field, DeAndre Hopkins, that kind of thing. And even with DeAndre Hopkins missing time, he just still wasn't able to pull in or make that big of an impact. That's why it was kind of a surprising move that he signed that deal. The Terry McLaurin deal is a little bit more baffling to me just because, well, I mean, you haven't seen how the connection works between Wentz and McLaurin. If McLaurin, I guess you got to lock up talent when you have it, but even still, he's a wide receiver, and in my opinion, he's not one of the top 10 wide receivers in the game, and you're paying him like a top 3. A little bit surprising. Other moves, let's see if there's any other headlines in the past few minutes anyway. Yep, it does look like they're finalizing the move anyway. The Jazz are, with the deal with Will Hardy to be their head coach. Even more stories about Freddie Freeman being upset. I'm just wondering if this is more media outlets picking up on other reporting at this point. But NBA free agency is right around the corner. NHL free agency is right around the corner. Griffin Jax has come out of the bullpen, the right-hander for the Twins. Very good pitcher for them. 2.8 ERA, 1.08 whip. Gio Urshela takes over at third base. Remember, Contreras took over as the pinch runner in the top half of the inning for Miranda. Urshela, definitely one of the better defensive third basemen in the game, came over from the Yankees along with Gary Sanchez in that Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Josh Donaldson trade. Gonzalez jammed, and it's now 0-2 to him. Up to 14. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate all of you guys for joining us here at the Upside. It's been a little bit of a pitching duel early on in the game anyway. Plesac struggled through 6 innings, was able to get through 6 without giving up a run, struggled with command. Smeltzer gave up the run in the first, but kind of came on as the game went along. Eli Morgan took over for Plesac in the top half of the inning, got the first 2 outs with weak contact, and then Miranda hit a double down the left field line. Pinch runner for him with Mark Contreras. And then Celestino, literally just as I was saying that they should pinch hit for him, pounds one off the center field wall that gets past Miles Straw as well, and he got in there with a triple, and that's where we stand right now at 1-1. The Guardians did score their run back in the first inning after a Rosario got to first base on a single anyway, and then Reyes hit a major league fly ball behind first base anyway that landed in fair territory that first and second baseman didn't really go after. The right fielder was way too far away from it to be able to get there in time, even on a full sprint, and that allowed Rosario to score from first base. Both teams have struggled with the ball in the air today as the wind seems to be swirling around in different parts of the park today, so they've had a tough time combating the wind. So maybe that helped out on the Celestino fly ball to center field that went off the wall. But as it stands right now, it's 1-1 in a brand new ball game. 0-2 the count. Gonzalez, just able to hold off on that one on a pitch up and away. Didn't miss by too much, though. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Got a few of y'all out there who are fans of either team. Both of y'all have money on or some of y'all have money on either side of the equation as Gonzalez swings and misses that pitch in the left-hand hitter's batter's box. He has not looked good the last couple at bats, swinging at pitches well outside of the zone. Andres Jimenez coming in 0 for 1 on the day, did get a hit by pitch earlier on. .317 average on the year for Jimenez. Looks like he was trying to bunt on that one. The pitch was in the dirt, though, so it's ball 1. I wonder if he actually got the bat back in time, but it doesn't seem like they like to call that one unless it's completely and blatantly out there for them to see. They err on the side of caution. Another pitch in the dirt as Jackson misses his location again. 2-0 the count now. One thing you do not want to see if you're a Twins fan is more walks, free bases being given away, especially in a late inning situation. The pitch. Another one low, but this time Jimenez offers at it, and it's 2-1 now. Wow. Hardy is going to get a 5-year deal to be the coach of the Utah Jazz. They don't really change their coach too often there, but that seems to be where they're headed right now, according to Woj. As Jimenez takes ball 3, it's now 3-1. Thank you guys for joining us again. Appreciate all of you. Swing and a miss. 3-2 now the count to Jimenez. Jimenez making sure he didn't chase one there as he turns around and asks the ump, was that still in there for a strike? 3-2, 1 out, in a tie ball game, 1-1 here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Twins just tied it in the top half of the inning. The set and the pitch. Ground ball to first base. Kirilov flips onto first base and dropped. Ugh. Wow. That was ugly. Looked like it might have hit him on the heel of the glove. Either way, if you're a Twins fan, you got to have that. That would have easily been the second out of the inning. But instead, Jimenez reaches on the error. Jay looks like he took the eye off the ball at the very last second to try to find the base with his feet. Kirilov may have waited a hair too long to get the ball to him as well. But it sounds like we're going to have a pitching change here. Twins pitching coach is going to take a position as the LSU Tigers pitching coach here at the end of June, or at the end of June here in a few days. His resignation goes into effect, I believe, tomorrow. Or no, sorry, in 2 days. But this is going to be one of the final outings, one of the final road trips anyway for their pitching coach. It's not often you see somebody leave in season to go from the professional ranks to college. You see that a lot in college, but not the other way around. But it sounds like he just wanted to put a chance to groom some younger talent and change his location. Miller takes strike 1, 0 for 2 on the day. Jack's really hoping for a ground ball here or a strikeout, either one. Starts off with an off-speed pitch. And the set. And the pitch. Fouled off by Miller down the first base line, about 10 rows back. Nice play by Fan on the ricochet, makes the catch in midair. Jimenez marches his way back over to first base as it looks like he was moving on the play. 0-2 now the count. Curious to see if the bullpen is going for the Twins. I did have double-barreled action to start or in the last half inning with the first runner reaching. I wonder if they get in any trouble if they're willing to get that pen loosened up in a close game like this. Twins are managing it like it's going to be a one-run game here down the stretch, and so far they've been proven right, exhausting a pinch runner and a substitution for that pinch runner this half inning with Gio Urshela. Pickoff move. This one bounces in the dirt, and Kirilov makes a nice play and scoops it out. No tag attempt made. Last thing you need is that ball to get past you. This one was high and away. Jax is a little all over the place with his throws over to first. 1-1 our score. 1-2 the count. 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Pitch very, very high as Jax is very distracted right now with that runner at first base. Needs to shut this out of his mind, even if it gives up a stolen base. Focus on the batter in front of you. If you're a Guardians fan, this is exactly what you want. Speed on the base pass to drive him nuts. Jimenez goes. Ground ball up the middle. Jimenez is able to get the second in time, so he does move over the runner. 2 outs now with Jimenez on second base. Having him in motion did save them from having a double play. That would have been a routine double play there. Arise makes the play on the shortstop side of second base. Very nice play by him. Known a lot more for his bat than anything else. 1 run, 5 hits, 1 error for the Twins today. 1 run, 4 hits, no errors for the Guardians. Sandy Leon flips over to the left side. Swing and a miss at that pitch, low and inside. Jazz making some more headlines, not just with their coaching position. Looks like they're going to hire David Fizdale, not as their coach or as a bench coach or anything like that, but as an associate GM. Interesting. Sounds like he wants to make a move to the front office. Jay makes a nice stab at that ground ball up over his head, flips on to first, and the side is retired. To the 8th we go. Correa, Kepler, and Garlick for the Twins. We'll see who comes out of the pen for the Guardians. This game has gotten a lot more interesting here in the past 20 minutes or so. But thank you guys for sticking with us. Had about 11 of y'all with us the entire game, so appreciate that. You know, a number of y'all are checking in and out as you're at work, checking the score, that kind of a thing. So we appreciate you joining us. Now, as I mentioned, NBA free agency starts in a couple of days. The top free agent on the board, Zach LaVine, is expected to re-sign with the Bulls. I do expect a number of teams to try to sign him and try to pull him away, but I don't expect any team to really be successful. The team with the most cap space is, I believe, going to be the Detroit Pistons. They're in the running for Jalen Brunson, but I don't think they're going to really have a shot at him. It seems to be a two-horse race for him, both between the Dallas Mavericks and the New York Knicks. It seems like his heart wants him to go to the New York Knicks, play with his father, family connections, Leon Rose, that kind of thing. However, he does also have a lot of connections with the Dallas Mavericks, who showed him a lot of trust by taking him early on in the second round and then playing him heavy minutes all throughout his tenure with the Mavericks, not sending him down to the G League and making him toil away on the end of the bench. Now, not this postseason, but the previous year, he was played off the court by the Los Angeles Clippers. This year, Jason Kidd's new system allowed him to be pushed into the starting lineup about 15, 20 games into the season, and he definitely took off from there, averaging 16 points a game. He was over 20 points a game in the postseason, and we saw his expected contract to go from about 4 years, $55 million at a max, to about 4 years and $100 million right now. Definitely doubled his value by his performance this year. But that's kind of where the free agent market stands. There's a bunch of other good names to be on the market, but there's not a lot of money out there for these players to walk into. So I expect a lot of cheap deals to be signed by a number of players as they all look to kind of settle in with a title contender. Some non-traditional title contenders should be able to sign some free agents this year. The Mavericks, who haven't been in the playoff picture for a number of years until Luka Doncic came on board. They look to be able to fill out their roster after trading away a number of smaller contracts in order to bring in Christian Wood. So maybe they can kind of fill in the ancillary pieces. Seems like they want to bring in Goran Dragic, maybe another guard, and then a wing to kind of take some pressure off. And of course, they still could make a move for one of these players on a bigger contract on another team. So that remains to be seen. Other teams to keep an eye on this offseason. The Washington Wizards, we mentioned that they're going to need a point guard as well. I don't expect them to play in the Jalen Brunson sweepstakes. The Charlotte Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets are going to need a player. Wow, Correa launches that one, and it's gone. Second pitch of the inning by Hinches as he came in for Morgan, and that pitch is gone, and it's a 2-1 lead now for the Twins as Carlos Correa, who missed a home run by about 4 feet earlier in the game to right center, hammers that one out to left. 373 at launch angle 29 and 103 miles an hour off the bat. Wow. Twins in the 7th and 8th inning come from behind and take the lead. Mistake right there by Hinches as he was looking to get a pitch up and out over the plate. for a strike and just was not able to get it by Correa there. It looked for a second like it might be a, a double off the wall, but that definitely went off a fan and back into the field of play. And Carlos Correa makes it a 2-1 Twins lead. Fourth home run in the last 4 games against Cleveland for Correa. Strike one there to Max Kepler. But the Twins take the late lead here. Wow, that pitch almost hit Kepler in the hands. Wow! Henches throws it away, though, on the play to first, and Kepler rounds first and goes to second. Jimenez holds onto the ball and stuffs it in his pocket. Wow. First error of the game by the Guardians. Honestly, it should be the second. But right now, your score 2-1 Twins, and now the Twins have something cooking with Kepler now going to second after that pitch literally hit him right on the fist. Hold the bat like this. It literally hit the bat right here as he kind of backed out of there. Wow. And that throw over to first just was not close. Henches looks rocked by that home run and now allows the runner to reach and then advance on the poor throw over to first. We'll see if the Guardians get their bullpen going again. Wow. That was a very high strike call. That pitch, due to the pitch tracks or whatever you want to call it anyway, looked to be like 3-4 inches up above the strike zone anyway. Robo-Ump definitely calls that one a ball. Top of the 8th, Correa hits the home run to give him a go-ahead 1-run lead here in the top of the 8th inning. They did score the other run in the top of the 7th, so late inning magic here for the Twins. Guardians looking to shut the door here and get back to the plate here in the bottom half. Kepler gets a nice lead off a second. Henches still looks a little flustered out there, though. Garlick swing and fouls it off down the third base line. 0-2 now the count to him. Emilio Pagan loosening in the Twins bullpen, looks to be taking over the bottom half of the inning. Very competitive game so far. Both sides have played really well. Some questionable defense at times by both teams. Ooh, 97-mile-an-hour fastball at the top of the zone. Garlick unable to make solid contact with it, but is able to foul it off and stay alive. 2-1 our score. Garlick, the 4th place hitter. Your cleanup hitter for the day. Fouled off again, 96 miles an hour at the top of the zone. Seems like they're trying to assert that fastball up high. Maybe give some confidence back into Sam Henches. Looks like Buxton has come out into the on-deck circle. For Gary Sanchez. Garlick, fly ball into center. Straw makes a nice catch on the line drive to him. Line drives are very difficult for outfielders to read, especially when they're hit directly at you. Can't really judge the depth of the speed of the ball very well, but a nice play there. And Byron Buxton is indeed the pinch hitter today. But 0 for 4 last night with the 3 strikeouts. Does have an 892 OPS. If you'll remember my comments at the beginning of the season, there was a conversation to be had that Buxton is better than Mike Trout. Now, of course, he doesn't have the track record of a Mike Trout, doesn't play with the consistency of a Mike Trout, so you can't really say he's better than Mike Trout. But as far as talent and the ability on the field, definitely is up there with him. Got a mound visit here again for the Indians in their 2nd consecutive inning, as their relievers have not found much success tonight, or today anyway. Buxton with that unique stance of his. Swing and a miss. Got a nice swing off on that ball, but unable to make contact with it. Just looked a little bit late on it is all. To be expected after sitting on the bench for 7+ innings. Again, gets set with that unique stance. 0-1 the count. Ooh, same place with that pitch, and Buxton just missed it. Fouled it off straight back to the screen. De Los Santos loosening for the Guardians should they get in more trouble here. Looks like they've shown 2 fastballs to Buxton. Maybe they go off speed here to see if they can get him to chase one outside the zone. Just got to be careful. You don't want that ball to get away and allow Kepler to get to third with less than 2 outs. In the dirt, nice play by Leone. That ball probably gets away from most catchers. Looks like it landed right in front of the foot of Buxton, and somehow Leone was able to get right over to it and on a one hop, able to make a play on it. Set, and the pitch. Again in the dirt, Leone a little bit easier time getting that one. 2-2 now the count to Byron Buxton. Looks like Buxton just waiting for him to come back into the zone with that fastball again. Laid off both of those pitches in the dirt. Now looking to gear up for that fastball again. Leone sets up, down. A little bit off speed at the bottom of the zone. Buxton able to foul it off down the third base line. Makes some strong contact with that one. Correa, though, gives the Twins the lead here in the top half of the 8th with that go-ahead home run. Second pitch of the inning by Hinches. Just wasn't able to find the location he was really hoping for with that one. At the top of the zone, Buxton fouls off that 97-mile-an-hour fastball as they try to speed up that bat again. Maybe they look for him to chase again, throw another one in the dirt, see if they can get him to offer at it here with this next pitch. The set and the pitch. Yep, they do get him to chase at that one. This time, 88-mile-an-hour off-speed pitch in the dirt, bounces, and they were able to get Buxton to swing, and Buxton is down on strikes. Good at bat, though, but just a little bit overmatched with that off-speed. Just wasn't able to lay off that fourth off-speed pitch. Sorry, Sanchez was the next batter up. They pinch hit for Kirilov. That was who was fifth. My bad. Kirilov was the one they pinch hit for. Sanchez is now up. Sanchez is ready. He's 1 for 3 on the day. Hinch is already up to 17 pitches this inning. Another pitch in the dirt. Looks like he's really unable to locate that pitch down in the bottom of the zone where they're wanting it to go. So if you're Sanchez, I'd gear up for that fastball and lay off everything else. 34 RBIs, does have 9 home runs on the year. A home run here really breaks things open for the Twins. That time, kind of a get-me-over off-speed pitch. Kind of lofted that one in there. And evens the count at 1. The acquisition of Carlos Correa again paying dividends for the Twins. They just look like a little bit different team, have a little bit different approach to the game. Another off-speed pitch, this time in the dirt. Sanchez swings and was unable to make contact with it. 1-2 now the count. Don't understand why he's even offering at the pitch. If it's not a fastball, don't swing at this point. Unless he's trying to aim that pitch in there, which he should be able to groove. If he does that again, I'd lay off that pitch all day long. He can't throw it for a strike. Sanchez requests time again. The set and the pitch. Swing and a miss, another off-speed pitch in the dirt. Sanchez unable to lay off, and that's the end of the inning. 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error for the Twins so far today. 1 run, 4 hits, 1 error for the Guardians. The home run, the go-ahead home run by Carlos Correa in the top of the 8th is our difference in the game as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Thank you guys again for joining us here at the Upside. Appreciate all 14, 15 of y'all now who've joined us here at the Upside. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, please do so. Cover all 4 of the major sports, baseball, basketball, football, and hockey. Let us know your favorite team in the comments, who you're pulling for in the game. Do you have money on the game? If so, who you hoping for to pull it out? Just starting up our live stream watch party thing again. We've done that before, but with movement, changed houses, built. Got a new studio and everything. Got everything all set up now. We look to be getting back into the swing of things, putting out more content for y'all. See if we can put out at least 2 or 3 videos a day for y'all, like we were in the beginning. With all the movement that I've had going on, just haven't been able to do it. But now that I've finally got everything set, expect content to keep coming your way. I really enjoyed keeping y'all up to date on all of the different sports stories that were happening. I'm looking forward to getting back to doing some of that again. Again, basketball free agency starts in a couple of days. Opt-in decisions are due within the next day or so. Number of different players needing to opt in or out of their contracts. Again, there's not a lot of money on the free agent market, so I expect a lot of people to opt in, a lot of players to opt into their contracts. However, this is the market where teams like the Detroit Pistons, the Portland Trail Blazers should be able to take advantage of both the free agent market and teams who want to go after a player in free agency, but don't have the cap space to do so. So they could take on some of their bad contracts and get some salary or get some draft picks in return for that as well. A lot of mystifying moves around the draft for the Knicks, but they were trying to clear off salary cap space in order to make a run at Jalen Brunson. And he, again, is probably down to 2 teams. It's really a 2-team race, essentially, for him between the Knicks and the Mavericks. We'll see who ends up pulling it out. Emilio Pagan is the new pitcher for the Twins in the bottom of the 8th. 4-seam fastball, throws a cutter and a splitter. A lot of success with both the fastball and the splitter. Has a little bit of struggles with the cutter, so we'll see how he ends up mixing it up today. I believe he was once traded for by the Rangers. Again, Rangers front office people at the top levels of the Minnesota Twins. More connections between the Rangers, Twins, and Yankees. The 3 teams have kind of made a triangle of trades this offseason. We already mentioned a little bit of that with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa going from the Rangers to the Twins for Mitch Garver. That move allowed gave 3 catchers on the active roster to the Rangers. That allowed them to flip Jose Trevino to the Yankees, who's having a breakout season this year with the Yankees. Kiner-Falefa was then flipped to the Yankees along with Josh Donaldson to clear up cap space, or salary space anyway, to allow them to bring in Carlos Correa. And both moves have really worked out for both teams. Donaldson, not so much, but IKF has really performed well there. One comment that he did make to the New York media anyway recently is how Jose Trevino was basically done wrong by the Rangers. I don't really see it, though. I mean, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa has always had a chip on his shoulder, and that's what he uses to kind of make himself play better. We remember last year with the All-Star voting, how he was only in 9th, that kind of thing, and how MLB Now, anyway, the show on the MLB Network, was kind of backing him and his support for the All-Star race anyway. But the bat just isn't there, and he's always used that to kind of motivate himself. I think that's kind of what he was voicing his opinion on with Jose Trevino. His previous 3 years in the big leagues, he just hadn't performed at that great of a clip offensively. Not even in the minors was he ever this type of offensive player. Do I expect some regression anyway from Jose Trevino at some point? Yes, but he's definitely having a great breakout season. maybe he is finally turning that corner. But the Rangers had 3 catchers and they had to move one. They had the option of possibly sending him down to the minor leagues as well. And they chose, instead of sending him to the minors, to go ahead and get a minor league prospect in return and allow him to keep playing in the big league level and do right by Trevino. Now, of course, the Rangers didn't see this coming. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have traded him. But Mitch Garver has been injured this year, and he did play well the other night, drove in a couple of runs, had a 2-run homer the other night. But he's playing with an injury and is going to need off-season surgery. He's debating whether or not to get season-ending surgery before the end of the year. That way he's eligible to play the full 2023 campaign. But that trade just didn't work out the way the Rangers had hoped. The loss of Jose Trevino is definitely being felt because of how much of a success he's been in New York. But as we stand right now, Pagan working to Miles Straw, the 9th place hitter. 3-2 count as he fouls that one off. Carlos Correa was able to be signed with that trade that sent out the Donaldson money to the Yankees. Again, that triangle of trade right there between the Rangers, Yankees, and Twins. Each team able to get a little bit better based on what they were needing at the time. Jonah Heim for the Rangers now has some playing time so they can develop his bat. But Trevino definitely is playing much better this year than he ever has in his career before now. So sorry, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, I just don't see where Trevino was wronged in this. This will be the 8th pitch of this at-bat. Mostly fastball so far. We'll see if he ends up throwing him a splitter here. See if they can get him to chase. But with the top of the order, you don't want to get a runner on, especially a speedster like Straw. Fastball off the plate, and Straw lays off. Nice at bat for Miles Straw. And a leadoff walk given up by Emilio Pagan. Certainly not what you want to see if you're a Twins fan who played this game like it would end up being a 1-run game. If I'm the Twins, I already get the bullpen moving just in case this gets any worse. 0 for 3 is Steven Kwan as he digs in. 2 lineouts and a strikeout. Has hit the ball hard a couple of times. 283 average. Does have a home run on the year. Pagan set. And the pitch. A little bit of a quick pitch there. Kind of guided that one into the zone. Possibly a cutter. Got to be careful not to get a balk. That was a very interesting delivery on that one for Pagan. Throws over to first. Arise is taken over at first base. After the pinch hit performance by Byron Buxton. The set. And another throw over to first base. Downside of giving up a leadoff walk to the 9th place hitter who has some speed is now you have to worry about him on the base path, possibly stealing a base. Straw gets a nice lead. Flinches, but no throw over. Instead, that pitch is a ball. 1-1 now, the count to Kwan. Twins looking for another shutdown inning after getting the go-ahead run in the top half of the inning on a home run by Carlos Correa. The pitch, way outside, missing his location now. That bullpen should start to loosen if they're not already loosening out there. 2-1 now the count as Pagan is struggling to find the zone. Straw bluffs a move as Quan takes one on the outside corner. It's now 2-2. And 12 pitches so far in the inning after a leadoff walk to Miles Straw. The pitch, up and away, ball 3, another full count. Pagan really struggling with his command so far today. Has not been very sharp. Ahmed Rosario is on deck. Does have a few hits in the game so far today. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're pulling for. Bottom of the 8th, 2-1, Twins lead. Straw takes off on a 3-2 pitch as that pitch is fouled away by Quan. Straw looking to get a running start on that one. Thank you guys for joining us again here at The Upside. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. Honestly, you guys have no idea how important it is. Whenever we get even one subscriber, how impactful that is for us. Really motivates us and get us going. Ooh, a nice toss over there by Pagan. Not really close, but very close as far as location and closer than I thought it was going to be originally. But trying to keep him a half step closer, perhaps, is Pagan. Hopeful of a double play ball still. 3-2, and he's off again. Fouls it down the left field line again. Nice at bat here by Quan after another good at bat by Miles Straw. This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat, and he's almost completely throwing four-seam fastballs. I'm wondering if he's struggling with his command of the other pitch, though. Maybe that's why he's just focusing on fastball only. That, and of course, everybody nowadays wants velocity, velocity, velocity. He's hovering around 96, 95 right now with that fastball. Straw again takes off, and that looked like ball 4. I don't know if it was or not. The throwdown was late either way. Yep, and that's ball 4. Back-to-back walks for Emilio Pagan. He did not miss by much, but things are not looking good from the Twins' perspective. Pitching coach is going to come out of the dugout. Thank you guys for joining us. Up to 16 of y'all now. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Good game today. Correa hit the go-ahead home run in the top half of the inning. Kind of a big old team meeting anyway on the mound. We'll see how they want to handle this. Ahmed Rosario does have a couple of hits in the game today. He has had some success. Pagan is struggling to find the zone. And after back-to-back walks, that bullpen had better be moving. Two on, no out. Bottom of the 8th here. 2-1 is our score. Guardians trying to come back after giving up the lead in the last half inning and letting the go-ahead run score on that Correa home run in the top of the 8th. Rosario 2 for 3 today, having a much better year, as I mentioned, after finally letting that weight off of his shoulders. The expectations of taking over the shortstop in New York and then being the big piece in the return for Francisco Lindor. Infield is drawn in at the corners at double play depth as Rosario digs in. Off the plate with a cutter. Ball 1. Again struggling with location. This had better be the last hitter for Pagan. It sounds like the pitching coach and everybody's just discussing their options after this. If he gets the out, great, but right now he is struggling with command. Another quick pitch. Oh, no, and the ball gets away off the glove of the catcher. Pass ball there. Granted, it wasn't where the pitch was designed to go, but the pass ball king lets it get by him again. Gary Sanchez has always had trouble with corralling the ball. We saw that in New York for years. That's why they had Hishigawa play behind the plate the majority of the time. This one wasn't even that far off the plate. I mean, it was eye level. Sure, it was a little bit to the left, but geez, you got to block that ball. Runners now on second and third for Rosario. A base hit probably gives up the lead. It probably gives the lead away, honestly. 2 runs probably score on a single to the outfield. That's ball 3. 3-0 the count now as Pagan's really struggling. Honestly, I would not be surprised if they just gave him the intentional pass. Thielbar is loosened in the bullpen, left-handed pitcher. Does have 33 Ks on the year, however, a 5.88 ERA. There's a strike on the outside corner by Pagan. Thank you guys for joining us. Y'all just keep on piling in here. We're up to 17 now. Really appreciate it. Really good game right now. 2 runners on, second and third, no outs. 3-1 the count now to Rosario. And 96-mile-an-hour fastball fouled back to the screen. 3-2 now the count as Pagan looks to get the strikeout now. He's really struggled with his location, so I expect Rosario to look for his pitch. And if it's not there, even if it's a strike, he probably takes. So if you're Pagan, just make sure it's a strike. You were able to work your way back from 3-0. Let's see if you can finish it off. Ground ball up the middle and through into center field. That scores 1 and 2. Wow. 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 Unbelievable. Not even 1 out has been recorded in this inning. Pagan gives up back-to-back walks to lead off the inning. A pass ball by Gary Sanchez puts both runners in scoring position. And then a ground ball up the middle by Rosario that probably would have been a double play if they didn't have that pass ball. And then there's 2 outs with a runner on third. Now the score is 3-2 with no outs and a runner on first. And the game looks completely different than it did 5 minutes ago. Rosario fired up 3 for 4 on the day 3 for 4 on the day for him. Another 20 y'all join us. 18 now. Thank you guys for joining us. Guardians have just taken the lead 3-2 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And if I'm the Twins, I'm expecting a pitching change here. Pagan just does not have the location today. Another big mound visit, I'm guessing, just to kind of buy time for Thielbar to get loose. Yep, and here comes the manager. 3-2 is our score in the bottom of the 8th inning. Runner on first. Correa took the lead in the top half of the 8th inning on a home run to left field that just cleared the fence. Now we have leadoff walks by Pagan to the first and second hitters of the inning. The 9-mile Straw and Quan both walked. Rosario was up next. Pass ball by Sanchez as he was unable to keep the ball in front of him. I'm shocked. Still don't understand why he's ever allowed to play catcher. It seems to be the one position that he can't defend at. Not that I'd put him anywhere in the field, but he should be a DH, honestly. I don't understand why they're putting him in situations where he's going to struggle. He's proven over time and time and time again he can't keep the ball in front of him. He had years of track record with that in New York, and the Twins put him at catcher today, and you see what happened right there. Cost them the lead right there. If he had been able to hang on to that ball, that wasn't even that far off, this game probably is still 2-1 Twins with 2 outs and a runner on third. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, it finally turned back in your favor, Bingo. You won your first leg of the Cleveland in the first half, and now Cleveland has the lead again. Jose Ramirez is next, followed by Reyes and Gonzalez when we get back from commercial break. Twins are going to have Nick Gordon, Gio Urshela, and Celestino due up in the top of the 9th, 7, 8, and 9 hitters. Jeffers is the only bench bat still available for the Twins to call upon. So I don't expect them to really do anything as far as a pinch hitter, that kind of thing, when they get up there. Caleb Thielbar is on 5.16 ERA this year. I don't know. One of their graphics had to have been wrong. One of them said 5.88. Now this one says 5.16. In either event, he's struggled to keep runners from scoring. 4-pitch mix, fastball, slider, curveball, and changeup. Pagan just was unable to record many outs in that half of the inning. 19 of y'all joining us. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. Here at the Upside, we follow all 4 major sports, so if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. Just got our studio back up and running. Clase, who came over in that trade from the Rangers, in that Corey Kluber trade anyway, a couple years ago. The closer for the Guardians this year looks to be the pitcher in the top of the ninth for them. But Thielbar hoping to keep it a 1-run game until then. Jose Ramirez digging in. Toss over to first. Easily back in there in time. Certainly don't want to help out the Twins pitching staff at this point, who struggled to throw strikes this inning. The set and the pitch. Curveball, beautiful curveball. 71-mile-an-hour curveball with nice height and depth. Honestly, it went right over the middle, but that would have been a tough pitch to hit. First pitch out of the gate for Jose Ramirez, who after that double in the 6th raised his average back over 300 to 301. Home run here really gives them some insurance runs. Fouls that pitch off to the left-hand side on another curveball low and inside that time. Kind of golfed that one out of there. And it's now 0-2. Shift is on. 3 infielders on the left-hand side for Ramirez. Only 1 on the right side, the first baseman holding him on. So there's a big hole between that first and second base. Way up high, the fastball misses. Above his head, honestly. Glad Sanchez was able to keep that one in front of him at least. Sorry, Yankees and Twins fans, I just don't understand why you wanted to have Gary Sanchez behind the plate. His defense has been abysmal. He doesn't handle pitching staffs very well. I get it. The bat at the catcher position is nice. Another curveball fouled off by Ramirez down the left side this time. But that defense cost you the lead. Cost you another run by allowing both runners to advance on the pass ball. That wasn't even that far off the plate. And it wasn't in the dirt either. It was eye level. And he just couldn't get didn't get his glove up here in time to block it. Literally, that's how far away it was. Strike 3. Ramirez hammers the plate with his bat. Unhappy he wasn't able to make contact on that. And the first out of the inning. Thielbar comes in and gets the strikeout. Let us know in the comments section if you're a fan of Gary Sanchez, why you think he's behind the plate. I get it for the bat, but I mean, it's not like you don't have a DH in the American League. Put him at the DH spot and put somebody else behind the plate. I don't care who at this point. I don't care if the catcher position never gets another hit. Giving up runs like this is just, ugh. That curveball seems to be his primary pitch today. Another curveball right down the middle for Reyes, or to Reyes anyway, by Thielbar. 587 OPS for Reyes. Swing and a miss as the runner goes, and out. Wow. They chose to send the runner. Sanchez somehow was able to make the throw. Still, I'm not backing off that bad defense by Sanchez. It was a poor throw up the line, and he still was able to get it there in time. I don't know if Rosario just didn't get a good jump. I don't know. Looks like Gordon's taken over at that shortstop position. Reyes fouls one off there. I said what I said. Sanchez is not a good defensive catcher. And from the crickets I'm seeing in the comments, most of y'all agree too. Another curveball, this one below the zone. Two outs now in the bottom of the eighth. Reyes down the count 1-2, excuse me. Correa took the lead here in the top of the eighth on a go-ahead home run to left field that just cleared the fence. Wow, another curveball again, and Reyes took it all the way, and strike three called. So it looks like we're going to have Gordon, Urshela, and Celestino, the last chance for the Twins today. Clase is going to come in for the Guardians, see if they can nail it down and take game one of today's doubleheader. Appreciate all of you who've joined us today. It's quite a few of you who've joined our live stream watch party. Like I said, we're going to try to do a bunch more of these as the season goes along, not just of baseball, but we also do live streams of basketball games, hockey, you name it. We've probably done it before. As far as football, we'll get some of that as the season gets going. Maybe even do a preseason game or two, because I know y'all are really wanting to get back into the swing of football as well. But basketball season is over. Free agency begins. We'll put out a whole bunch of videos on that. Probably do a live stream here later on today to kind of go over all the different avenues that NBA free agency is going to have. Kyrie Irving situation, Kevin Durant situation, Bradley Beal possibly opting out and then signing a supermax deal with the Wizards as well. Will LeBron be moved this offseason? Will the Lakers be able to get rid of the Russell Westbrook contract? All of that. Hockey is over. Colorado Avalanche are successful and finally climbed that mountain again and are Stanley Cup champions. But they have a lot of questions to answer on their roster as well. The first is going to be a very fun day in the world of sports. So if you're able to take some time off of work, watch the things play out. As I told y'all earlier, hockey does a fantastic job of free agency. The way they do it is just next level. You can actually make a day of it and watch your team make all the signings they're going to make in the offseason, save for maybe one or two. But the majority of players sign in the offseason on the first day free agency opens. It's quite a day. Just like the trade deadline for hockey does do very well as well. Just the way they handle both of those the way they handle both of those is very nice. I enjoy watching both of those telecasts. No matter who you're watching, Sportsnet, if you're watching TSN in Canada, if you're watching the United States broadcast on ESPN, if you're going to watch it on TNT this year, they got a number of different avenues to be able to get into this year. To the ninth inning we go. Rosario, the hero of the game today for the Guardians. And Nick Gordon is going to be the first up. Emmanuel Clase is indeed on for the Cleveland Guardians. Came over from the Rangers in that trade with Corey Kluber. Was very much a strikeout pitcher in the minor leagues. Pitched very well for the Rangers when he was there. Rangers took a chance on an injured Corey Kluber that he'd come back and pitch very well. Literally 1 inning is what they were able to get out of Corey Kluber. Another trade that didn't work out for the Rangers. But the Guardians are very happy to enjoy all 6 years of his service time that he had available. And so here we go in the top of the ninth. Nick Gordon to lead it off. 1 for 2 in the game so far. 3-2 Guardians lead. 100 miles an hour below the zone. Nick Gordon fouls it off. We'll see if Gordon can come through for the Twins. Does have a walk on the day. 3 home runs. Home run here would be fantastic if you're a Twins fan. Sorry, Bingo. I know you're really hoping the door is shut right now. Another ball below the zone. Actually hits his first base coach with it. Is that Hank Conger, the former catcher, as the first base coach? I can't tell. But either way, Nick Gordon down 0-2 now. Thank you to all 14 of y'all for joining us as we watch the Twins try to complete the comeback now against the Guardians. The ball gets away from the catcher, Leon, and Gordon is able to reach on a strikeout. Wow, I thought that was a foul tip off the bat. And no, apparently Gordon did not make contact, but he is able to reach first anyway on the 3-pitch strikeout. Leon wasn't able to track down the ball as the ball got away. I'm still not sure if that didn't hit his bat. Nope, it just short hopped his glove and just hit off the heel of his glove and got away. Another poor defensive play in this game. There was a couple early on pop flies behind first base and third base earlier in the game. That's what gave Cleveland their first run of the game. But now another defensive issue at catcher. Now both teams have had issues behind the plate. Urshela bounds it up the middle. Oh no, it's a double play right at the bag. And just like that, 2 outs. That was hideous. And Urshela looks so broken. I get that, it's just a game and these players play for lots of money and, all that kind of thing, but you still want to succeed. You still want to play well. Urshela just right up the middle, high bounding ball, right to second base. Rosario grabs it literally while he's standing on second base, flips over to first, and just like that, the Twins' hopes are dashed. Now, Celestino did have a wall ball earlier in the game. We'll see if maybe he has another thunderbolt in his bat. Right on the inside corner, Clase finds the strike zone. 0-1 the count. He's hitting .300 on the year. Does have 6 RBIs, no home runs yet. So this would be a great time for his first of the year if you're a Twins fan. Guardians trying to nail it down. 0-1 the count. The pitch, inside 100-mile-an-hour fastball. I don't know. It looks like Clase has put on a little bit of muscle since his time with the Rangers to me. When he was with the Rangers, he was more of a lanky guy, thin figure. Now he looks a lot more muscular now that I see him with the Guardians. Maybe that 80-game suspension that he had for PEDs or whatever he had allowed him time to hit the weight room and put on some muscle. Celestino off the first baseman, another poor defensive play, and that's going to go as an error on the first baseman Miller. What is going on in Cleveland? Yep, it is Hank Conger who is the first baseman. First base coach. Interesting. But yeah, what is going on defensively in this game? Errors on both sides of the ball, on both teams. Wow. If you're a fan of the Guardians or Twins, this is just an ugly game. All you're hoping to do is get out of this game with a W. Correa is on deck. He was the one who hit the home run in the last half. Luis Arraez, though, right now is the last hope right now for the Twins. You need him to reach to have any hope in this game. The set and the pitch. 100-mile-an-hour fastball just, and I mean just, off the inside corner. Pitch tracks, put that right on the edge. That may have even tickled the outside corner. Thank you to all 18 of y'all for joining us. 2 outs now in the top of the 9th. Runner on first. Luis Arraez with Carlos Correa on deck. The set and the pitch. Right in there, 92-mile-an-hour off-speed pitch that time. As the Cleveland crowd gets to their feet, hoping this shuts the door. It's a 1-1 count. 2 outs in the top of the 9th. Arraez, line drive left field, but into the seats. Nice catch there by a fan. And now there's 2 strikes on Arraez. 1 for 4 in the game. Clase up to 10 pitches in the game. And now everybody in Cleveland is up on their feet with 2 strikes, hoping their side can get the victory in Game 1 of this doubleheader. Even Twins fans are on their feet hoping for the best. The set and the pitch. 101-mile-an-hour fastball. What a pitch. But fouled off by Luis Arraez. Wow. That was impressive. That was very impressive. Clase geared up to reach an extra gear on that one, but Arraez was able to lash that one down the third baseline foul. And hangs tough. Now, as I mentioned, defense in this game has not been a great thing. It says 3 errors in the game, but honestly, there's been at least 5, if not 6. I'm going to go ahead and count it. That's 7, honestly. 2 on the catcher, 2 on the fielder, another one by the first baseman. And I'm sure I'm missing 1 or 2. Arraez, unable to make contact on that one. Clase is pumped. 101-mile-an-hour fastball above the zone as he stares down Arraez as he walks back to the dugout. That'll be interesting for Game 2 of the doubleheader, what kind of response they have after that stare down that Clase just had to Arraez as he was walking back to the dugout. Arraez didn't take any exception to it. Clase is just very exuberant there, so we'll see if anything comes of it. But the Guardians take Game 1 of the doubleheader 3-2 over the Twins. The Correa go-ahead home run in the top of the 8th, not enough, as the 2 back-to-back walks to lead off the bottom half of the 8th inning, and then the 2-run single by Rosario gave the Guardians the victory today. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate all of you for joining us here at the Upside. Remember, we do follow the NBA, NHL, football, or the NFL and baseball here at the Upside. We're going to live stream a lot of games over the next few months anyway. Got our new studio up and running, so we'll see if we can put out a lot more content for you. Keep it tuned here to the Upside for all your latest rumors on the NBA free agency. NHL free agency gets started in a couple days as well, and so we'll see where the top players end up. Just to kind of recap the game, first run of the game scored in the bottom of the first on a pop-up behind first base as Rosario was able to come around and score from first on a pop-up by Reyes. Plesac went through 6 innings, was able to struggle through 6, didn't give up a run, struggled with command all throughout his performance, but was able to put up zeros. 7th and 8th inning, the Twins were able to get on the board, able to manufacture a run in the 7th anyway, and then the home run by Correa in the 8th, and then, of course, the back-to-back walks by Pagan, and then the Rosario 2-run single in the bottom half of the 8th. So your player of the game going to be Ahmed Rosario, and Clase, of course, able to nail things down in the 9th for the Guardians. But again, keep it tuned here to the Upside. Put out a few videos today. Going to try to put out a few more videos as far as about the Brunson situation, the Kyrie drama that's been going on, and no, that's not resolved yet. If you think that him opting in is the last bit for Kyrie, apparently that's not it. Seems like there's still traction for LA and Kyrie, but we'll see if that comes to fruition. We'll put out another live stream later on today discussing a lot of the NBA free agency, so be sure to send us your questions here at the Upside. Put out a few other videos already on Eric Gordon possibly being traded, Bradley Beal possibly opting out and then signing the mass extension with the Washington Wizards. But again, Cleveland Guardians take it 3-2 over the Twins, and appreciate all of you for joining us. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and thank you guys very much.